Nobody said that there will be another bull run. Yeah, so apparently this might take another some more time until this arrives.
Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another CYPRX video banger. In today's video, we're going to be going down the rabbit hole, diving into some industry-leading expert opinions on this digital asset landscape, where they go on to talk about interoperability, massive institutional interest. However, we are still in a crypto winter, and this next bull market cycle is going to take time. Mentions of the DTCC and the massive impact that they just recently had via a collaboration with Clearstream and Euroclear on the industry as a whole, and then going down the rabbit hole talking about Mica and regulation. If you all enjoy these video breakdowns, keeping you on the loop during this crypto winter, keeping you all hopeful and forward-looking, bringing you all the realest information as possible, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. We do appreciate the love and the support. So let's jump into today's video breakdown. First, we're going to listen to these market participants from EY, Medico. We got that other gentleman, Philip. We got this gentleman right here from Keiko. Not too entirely familiar with what that company and that organization is. He goes in depth on what it is. And then we also have a representative from Define talk about interoperability. Now, this plays a very interesting role because if you remember, previous market participants mentioned the same exact terminology. And as we're listening to this individual right here mention how extremely important it is, I'm also going to play some other video clips from some industry-leading experts mention the same exact thing. And then I want you all to kind of remember the panel discussion that took place just a couple of months ago, where Susan Friedman from Ripple was sitting on a panel discussion with multiple institutional parties, central bankers, and major organizations across the board. And they were the only blockchain and distributed ledger technology company sitting in on this panel discussion. And they were specifically talking about interoperability and how these central banks are going to need a bridging mechanism in order to facilitate cross-border trade, both internationally and domestically. So take a second and listen to these individuals focus on the terminology interoperability.
Trend that I see is one a bit under the hood. It's about interoperability. So there is work in the background around standardizing processes, bridging across DLTs, and in our field, for instance, building standard data models. The last bit is a bit less known, less publicized, but to me is one of the key unlockers for the market.
I mean, interoperability is going to be one of the key parts. Yeah.
And because we're, in 95 countries with branches, we're in 140 countries trading, 160 currencies, 280 clearing systems. We're interested in interoperability.
Financial systems. So if this is going to happen, if CBDCs are going to be used cross-border, there has to be a mechanism for different national CBDCs to be exchanged for one another. Technically, we know how to do this. Now,
I do not believe in coincidence. As you all heard the representatives mention the terminology interoperability, and then we see Susan Friedman from Ripple. Again, Ripple providing solutions to interoperability and cross-border pain points via XRP and the XRP ledger. Obviously, of course, there's other solutions as well that Ripple provides, but I don't think that Susan Friedman was sitting in on this panel discussion where they're talking about interoperability specifically, and then focusing in on how other major institutional players are also focused on interoperability as well. Now, we know, again, and I'm not sitting here saying that XRP and the XRP ledger is going to be the sole solution, but I just don't think it's a coincidence that Susan Friedman from Ripple was the only market participant in the crypto space sitting in on this panel discussion where they're specifically talking about this topic. Now, we know that XRP and the XRP ledger can serve as an interoperable bridging mechanism for cross-border payments between central banks and institutions, whether they are international or domestic. We know that XRP has unique features and algorithms that provide fast settlement times, enable near-instant cross-border transactions, and reduce the reliance on traditional correspondent banking systems that are obviously, of course, slow and costly. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that these central banks are going to utilize XRP or that they are going to utilize the XRP ledger. I just don't believe in coincidences, and I have a firm belief that at least some banking institutions in the future or some central banks in the future will utilize XRP and the XRP ledger. Again, I don't believe in coincidences, and I find it interesting how major parties across the board are mentioning interoperability, and Susan Friedman just so happens to be sitting in on a panel discussion where their focus is on interoperability and utilizing bridging mechanisms for cross-border payments via these central bankers. Take a second and listen to what this gentleman has to go on to say about the potential of the next bull market and how this is most likely going to take time.
Markus, what about your expectations for the next couple of months?
I would say in the recent months, traditional players, they have entered the crypto market building infrastructure, and I expect that, say, in the next months or so, there will more and more bigger players just entering the market with crypto offerings. So it will probably focusing first on crypto assets. There will be also like a increasing number of players in looking more for sophisticated like crypto securities.
You mentioned that crypto offerings can be expected. You didn't explicitly mention ETFs, but we all know that ETFs are on the way coming to us. Also in Europe, not just talking about the US here. The ECB's digital euro has been mentioned. Stable coins have not been explicitly mentioned, but we could also expect more movements there. And you also mentioned, of course, infrastructure from the domain of digital securities and crypto securities. That's basically what we are expecting here in the next couple of months. Nobody said that there will be another bull run. Yeah, so apparently this might take another some more time until this arrives.
So as you heard that representative say, right, no mention of an up and coming bull market, and his perspective via the next couple of months is that institutions are going to have an uptick in interest and involvement in this digital asset landscape. It's extremely crucial for crypto market participants and my followers here at CYPRX to understand that bear markets are healthy and that crypto winters provide a valuable opportunity for building and implementing real-world value solutions. Any market participant with brains understands that. Bear markets serve as a neutral correction mechanism in the volatile crypto space, helping to weed out speculative accesses and unsustainable projects, as we've seen over the past couple of months to over, it's been what? We've been in this crypto winter for a year and a couple months now. During these downturns, you need to understand that projects and teams have the time now to focus on fundamental development, research, and innovation without the pressure of skyrocketing prices, and that's a good thing. This paves the way, in my personal opinion, for the creation of a more robust and practical blockchain application that can truly benefit society moving forward in the future, and that's something that we need to see in order for this market to sustain long term. Now moving on to what this gentleman goes on to say. He talks about what just took place between the DTCC and Euroclear and how much of a massive impact this has on the digital asset space. So take a second and listen.
The recent DTCC Euroclear Clearstream communication, like a big message to the market that standards needs to be applied across processes and etc. So from the CSD, traditional finance, there is the acknowledgement that the next phases will be in cooperation between the different ecosystems that already exist.
Now, specifically what he goes on to mention is that this had a message to the market. Now, if you go to the DTC's website, I posted about this on Twitter, and it goes on to say right here, the financial services industry is at a critical juncture as firms look to the future to embrace increased levels of digitalization, tokenization, and digital assets have generated significant interest. This is directly coming from the DTCC. So my firm believe this is what the gentleman is talking about, where he goes on to say, this is a message to the market. The DTCC has for a fact been exploring blockchain and digitalization for many years and has successfully tested distributed ledger technology's foundational capabilities. This message alone should steer you away from what the mainstream is projecting to you all, that crypto is dead, DLT and blockchain aren't progressing behind the scenes, because in fact they are. And more specifically, what this gentleman is talking about is this September 2023 Advancing the Digital Asset Era Together white paper that came out between Euroclear and the DTCC. Now, I plugged this entire PDF into Chat PDF and asked it questions. So the first question that I asked was, where in the paper is the best example of this confirmation that distributed ledger technology and blockchain will play an extremely crucial role in the future financial infrastructure? And it went on to say that this paper provides several examples of how blockchain and DLT and digital assets are transforming the financial industry. One example can be found on page 4, where the authors state that firms have documented the early operational and liquidity benefits of distributed ledger tech and digital assets, often at an experimental level, which we know proof of concepts and testing has definitely been ongoing. Now, the other question that I asked it was, based off this paper, is it clear that blockchain and DLT, along with crypto, will play an extremely crucial role in the future financial infrastructure? And the artificial intelligence said yes. The paper suggests that the blockchain, DLT, and digital assets have passed their foundational stage. So again, hearing that gentleman speak where he went on to say that this is a message to the market, take a second and just think about that, right? This is not coming from some random institution, from some random bank. This is coming from the DTCC, where they process quadrillions of dollars annually. So again, take that into perspective. During this crypto winter, there are massive ongoing transformations happening behind the scenes and progress happening behind the scenes that the mainstream media is not going to tell you about. Now let's take a second and listen to these market participants specifically talk about how Mica, and when it comes into fruition, is going to bring massive institutional adoption. I want you to kind of piece 2 and 2 together and use logic. The gentleman just said, okay, think about this. I'm going to really blow your mind. The gentleman just said that there is no crypto bull market happening anytime soon, yet there is massive institutional interest and adoption taking place behind the scenes in going into the next couple of months as well. But listen to what these individual representatives say about Mica, and then I'll bring your attention back to something that the Digital Euro Association posted on their LinkedIn.
I expect that with Mica, there will be a tremendous rush in that countries, because suddenly there is a regulation which brings much more clarity and which brings much more transparency, and which brings the possibility to offer services to retail and to clients also in other European countries. Banks and financial institutions which wait until Mica is coming, they give up all their possible heads up they could have.
So remembering that this gentleman, Philip, went on to talk about how there isn't going to be a bull run anytime soon. And you just heard the representative from Mica talk about how important Mica is going to be for institutional adoption. Think about this. Let's head over to the Digital Euro Association. This is where time kind of comes into the picture, because the Digital Euro Association went on to say that Mica is set to revolutionize the European crypto landscape by creating a unified crypto asset market across Europe. But check this out. It talks about key dates. And so if you just heard representatives talking about how there's not going to be a crypto bull run anytime soon, at least for the next couple of months, but then they also mentioned that Mica will bring massive institutional adoption. Well, here, the Digital Euro Association put out this key date where it says end of 2024, full implementation for all crypto assets. So how I see that as, again, take it how you want it, how I see that as, this is when we will see massive amounts of money flood into this market, is when this crypto regulation via the Mica deal comes into fruition. We've heard and had confirmation from multiple market participants that that's also when they think institutions will get the green light to come into this space. We've heard representatives from Deutsche Bank. We've heard representatives from Mica, right?
At the same time, I think we must recognize that the interest of investors and market participants in digital asset remains high. Recent surveys on that topic also underline this ongoing high interest. I think based on new regulation, let it be the Electronic Securities Act here in Germany, the DLT pilot regime, or the markets and crypto assets regulation, banks, market infrastructure providers, and other regulated players in the ecosystem more and more have a foundation to really dive into digital assets and build sustainable business models. But obviously, we need new trading venues and new settlement rails, right? So, and those ideally should be fully regulated and be under the control and supervision of supervisory authorities.
So take that into consideration. You can kind of start to piece these things together. We are, for a fact, ongoing a crypto winter. It is no rush to the top. I understand everybody wants a massive blow off top, but the longer that this takes, the better foundation and more regulatory guidelines that come into fruition before this next crypto bull run comes into place, in my personal opinion, will set a much stronger foundation for the next blow off top that we are set to see in this digital asset landscape. Again, this is me just piecing two and two together. I'm not giving you guys any predictions, but it's kind of just common sense. Representatives are talking about how in the next couple of months, we're not going to see a bull run, but then they also go on to confirm that institutional adoption will flood into this space once Mica comes into fruition. And this fundamental piece from the Digital Euro Association confirms that full implementation for all crypto assets is coming at the end of 2024. You can kind of put two and two together, ladies and gentlemen, on when all of this is going to take place. We've been attempting to show you all that this is most likely going to happen at the end of 2024, rolling into 2025. Many blessings to you all. If you all enjoyed this video breakdown, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. We do appreciate the love and the support, and it does take time for us to make these video breakdowns and do this research. As always, I'm not telling you guys to go out there and buy digital assets or cryptocurrency. Make sure that you're investing at your own risk. As always, make sure that you're doing research, and I'll see you guys in the next video breakdown.